There are exactly 3 moments from the Thousand Year Blood War anime adaptation that got my blood pumping. I'm not gonna lie to you, having read the manga all the way through to the end, nothing else got me as excited as those scenes did. Sure, the animation and art direction are amazing, but I already know where it's all heading, towards a disappointing ending. But those scenes, a conference between Ichibe and Yuhawak, Ichigo's visions in Ichibe's palace, and Senjumaru Shitaru's Bankai, they are all indicative of the potential for fundamental changes to the ending of the story. Here's the question though, why do I care if the ending changes? Better yet, some of you may be asking if there's even anything wrong with the ending. So I have 3 jobs today, to discuss why these changes were very much needed, to give you the actual reason why the original ending kinda sucks, and finally, to do a small bit of speculation on where this could all be heading. To kick things off, let's talk about mythology. Now you might be wondering, why mythology of all things? Bear with me for a few moments and you'll see the connection I'm making. What little is known of the creation myth of Bleach is the story of a usurped creator, a stolen throne and stolen power, the body of a god ripped apart. Why and how this came to be is mostly unknown. This is very similar to the Babylonian version of the Mesopotamian creation myth. Tiamat, the dragon goddess of the sea and mother of creation who created the gods, wanted to destroy her children as revenge for killing her lover, Apsu. Marduk, one of the gods, battled against and killed Tiamat, ripping her body in half and using those pieces to fashion the mortal world. Do you see the connection? A supreme god whose powers and even body parts are taken by other gods, which is then used to fashion, control, and maintain the world we live in. Now upon hearing that, some of you might be saying, wait, Ichibe isn't a god, so the connection isn't completely accurate. So this is the part where I explain why Ichibe and Squad Zero are actually gods, and not just powerful Shinigami. It's really simple actually. With the exception of Kiryu Hikifune, who was promoted to Squad Zero approximately a century before the start of Bleach, all the members of Squad Zero are the source for all the power and capabilities which Shinigami have at their disposal. The hidden potential of Zanpakuto, the power within the garments worn by Shinigami, all healing and body strengthening techniques, and finally, the power of the names given to everything in Soul Society. These are all powerful beings created by the Soul King, who each played a major role in shaping the world into what it is today. That is a god. And so, when I was reading Bleach back in the day, and I saw how Squad Zero was so unceremoniously destroyed, how easily they got punked, how they got rinsed on a gentle cycle, this was my reaction.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
On the other hand, seeing Squad Zero use coordination and teamwork to overcome the unprecedented situation of someone actually posing a threat is satisfying beyond measure. Everything after that makes sense as well. The fact that their Bankai are so powerful that if more than one are used at the same time, it could threaten the stability of the universe, making it a weapon of last resort. As much as this all pleases me immensely, it doesn't exactly line up with events as they are meant to transpire in the manga. Everything in the manga is set up to make Yuhawak an undefeatable final boss. Ichibe is defeated and his power is completely subverted and nullified, even though he has power over names and their meanings, including the existence of anything attached to those names, to the point where the power of his name can even bring him back to life and power. His very existence is a universal fact based on the power he has over his name, and even that wasn't enough to stop Yuhawak. Of Yuhawak's 4 elite guards, Pernida and Askin are both barely defeated by Mayuri and Urahara respectively. Lyle Barrow is immortal and cannot be defeated, unless Nanao pulls an Uno reverse on him, which she did. And Gerard kept coming back stronger each time he died until Yuhawak himself yoinked the power away. And all of this unimaginable power was given to them by Yuhawak. Even Grand Master Jugram Hashwalth was only defeated because of Ishida's betrayal. The reason for this narrative framing is to make the task of defeating Yuhawak seem virtually impossible, even for Ichigo. But there's a problem here. A man with godlike power is trying to take control of Soul Society. He gave his subordinates enough power to rival the Shinigami. Many have been defeated by him, to the point where he seems completely unstoppable. However, at the 11th hour, someone devises a never-before-seen technique which is strong enough to nullify this man's powers, just long enough for someone else to defeat him. Who am I talking about? If your answer is Yuhawak, I'm actually talking about Aizen. The most important details are these. Both Aizen and Yuhawak gained godlike power and could not be defeated via normal means. Both Aizen and Yuhawak had their powers temporarily nullified by a never-before-seen technique, the Final Getsuga and the Silver Arrow. Both Aizen and Yuhawak were finally defeated by a person other than the secret technique user. Urahara seals Aizen away, while Ichigo delivers the final blow to Yuhawak. Now I want you to be honest with me. Which one of these felt like a more significant and fulfilling event to you? The original or the copy? Most people would agree that Aizen's defeat at the end of the Arrancar saga felt like it had a greater amount of weight and veritas to it. You can understand Aizen feeling the frustration of being so talented that no one could rival him, and therefore seeking to ascend to a level where he could finally feel like he belonged. As a villain's motivation, it is incredibly compelling. But do you know what's even more compelling? Ichigo's resolve during this fight. The entire point of Ichigo gaining such immense power during this fight is the realization of what he has to sacrifice for it. He knew that using the Final Getsuga would strip him of all of his Ryatsu, turning him into a normal, powerless human being. So now we have the joy of victory mixed with the melancholy of loss. Ichigo finally has what he wanted at the beginning, to be rid of his ability to see the dead, but now that he's come all this way and been through so much, it's more of a bittersweet feeling than anything else. On the other hand, Yuhawak starts out on a revenge quest which we can't even identify with, because we barely know anything about him or the other Quincy. And then after he gets his revenge, his motivations become vague at best until the very last chapter. Even his own subordinates don't really understand him or what he's doing. That, or they follow him out of blind devotion. So since the story surrounding Yuhawak feels like a weak copy-paste of Aizen's story, right up until the point where they are both defeated, what can be done to resolve this? The answer is that maybe, just maybe, this is already being resolved by Kubo and the anime team. We've already talked about how the problem with Squad Zero has been halfway fixed. We'll have to see what happens with Ichibe. Now it's time for a few wild speculations. Ichigo's visions could be related to some connection to the Soul King. After all, he is the only person in existence who is a fusion of every form of power that exists between Soul Society, Hueco Mundo, and the world of the living, if you don't include his sisters. It's unclear how much they inherited. If anyone could harness the Soul King's power besides Squad Zero and Yuhawak, it's Ichigo. This could have implications ranging from Yuhawak's impact on the story changing in a direct way, to the Soul King taking an active role using Ichigo. The conference between Ichibe and Yuhawak, which seems to have taken place at the Wandern Reich, making it unclear whether it took place before or after the First War. Okay, quick pause here. It's only after watching this segment over while editing that I noticed that 3 of the Quincy in this scene are specifically ones who were killed in the war 1000 years ago, meaning that this does take place before the first Quincy Shinigami War. Alright, back to the video. This event does lay the groundwork for Yhwach's goals and ambitions, but it also leaves more questions than answers. When exactly did Ichibei lose the left arm of the Soul King? If Ichibei used the power of the left arm to take the power of the Almighty away from Yhwach, how exactly does Yhwach regain the power? Also, is that a gun? Either way, it would be essential at this point for us to get a few more of these flashbacks, so we can further understand the history we are dealing with. In conclusion, I would like to offer 3 possible endings for the anime adaptation that are all probably wrong, but hey, we can only speculate right now. First possibility, and by far the most boring. Yhwach's fight with Ichibei goes exactly how it did in the manga, and therefore everything else goes mostly the same, except this time, what is left of the Soul King grants Ichigo some form of power or insight, leading to an ending where Yhwach's defeat isn't just a copy-paste of the narrative beats of Aizen's defeat. Second possibility, after getting clapped by Ichibei, what is left of the Soul King decides to grant Yhwach power, because maybe the Soul King doesn't like what Ichibei and Squad Zero have done with the universe, and decides to help Yhwach, which then makes the ending of Bleach an actual battle against God. Third possibility is that it turns out, because of the unique nature of Ichigo's birth and what his mixed heritage makes him capable of, he becomes some sort of child of prophecy, where both Ichibei and Yhwach try to use him for their own goals. And being caught in the middle, Ichigo needs to decide his own destiny, and by extension, the destiny of the universe. I wouldn't mind something similar to the second option, though the third option would be the most interesting in my opinion, and the first option would be disappointing, but still better than the manga's ending. I just hope and pray it doesn't end exactly like the manga did. Feel free to suggest your own ideas for possible endings, or tell me if you think the manga's ending is just fine as it is, and why. In any case, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying my videos, consider joining the Patreon, and I'll see everyone in the next video.